Today we're going to talk about cutting artwork. You're going to need some mats and you're going to need a paper cutter. If you have a small print, like a 4x6 inch print, you can use one of the pre-made mats. These pre-made mats are right here next to the paint. Although if you have anything larger than a 4x6 inch print, you're going to want to cut your own mat. To do that, you're going to first need to get poster board. This black poster board is quite large, and so we have to use the large paper cutter to cut it. There's one paper cutter in the classroom that you could use to cut down artwork. The poster board is found with the other poster board. So we have artwork, we've got mats, and our paper cutter. Before you begin, I want to stress safety with this. This is very sharp. It's also expensive. So you want to handle it correctly. First, critically meaning the handle. This is the handle. It's where your hand goes. You don't want to hold it down here on the blade, right? There is a blade there. It's sharp, and that's how everything gets cut. So hand back here. Also, the other hand needs to hold the artwork in place. It should never go past this guard, this metal bar right here. We're going to use it for something else in a second, but this is your line. You shouldn't have your fingers anywhere near this. Okay, so your hand holds artwork here while you cut it this way. We don't want to cut anything that's thicker than cardboard. We don't want to cut too much paper. It makes it inaccurate. It pushes the blade out, so it won't actually cut very well. You don't want to cut plastic or anything else, again, because it dulls the blade, pushes it out, and it'll ruin it. So step one is that we need to cut this artwork down. Most of you guys are cutting prints. Every now and then you guys are going to be cutting drawings or paintings. And a drawing or painting often is straight. We don't have to worry so much about it being crooked. If it's a straight object, you can push it all the way back to the top, and then you just make sure it's lined up. The bottom of the page is lined up with one of the grid lines, or the edge is lined up with one of these grid lines, and then you know you're cutting perfectly square. It'll be a straight square line. However, because we're using reduction blocks, we go up and down printing over and over, it doesn't always line up. It always doesn't end up perfectly straight. And so instead, we're going to cut these a little different. We're going to start with an edge where we know that there's kind of a definitive line. So I'm going to start with this colored edge here, and I'm going to slide it over to this black bar. So this black bar, okay, slide it over the black bar. From there, I can see that there's a little bit of an edge, a gap between the black bar and where it's going to cut, maybe about 1/2 inch. And that's what we want. We want to leave a little bit of the white, but we need to leave enough of the white around to give a tiny border, and also we don't want to cut off the signature. That's what lets us know the value of this print. Okay. One of the things that you're going to notice is that I'm cutting up here. The reason why I'm cutting up there is because down lower on the paper cutter, it doesn't cut as accurately. It cuts up here more accurate because there's a tighter tension, while it gets a little bit loose on the bottom. So I've cut one side. Once I have one straight side, then I'm going to line it up with a grid. So I'm lining it up with this straight line here, okay, the one I just cut, and then I'm just going to slide it over enough that I'm not cutting off the signature. So we've got almost the same size around there. We're not going to measure these perfectly. We're just going to eyeball them and see what looks good. As a general reference, again, I can use this black guide here to keep it on the edge of the print. So I don't want the print to go further than that black bar. Okay, so I'm going up to the black bar with my image, but then I'm also going to line up on a grid on this side so that it's straight. And then we're going to do the same thing on the next side. So each time you line up with the grid. Okay. So we have a print. You can check it, see if there's any area you need to cut off a little bit. However, that looks really good. And that is how you cut a print. Step 2 would be to cut the mat for it. This can be complicated. It can be fairly simple. I like to do it the simple way. So the simple way is where we take the black mat, put the artwork on top of it, and we eyeball what looks good. These are supposed to go up in the art show, so we're going to want to have enough room for an official typed up tag put on the corner. So we like to have about 1.5 to 2 inches. If you're not very good with what that looks like, there is a ruler on top so you can actually see what 2 inches looks like. I should be able to put the edge of this mat here on the 4, and no, that's 6. Okay, so that's 2 inches. However, you don't have to. You're fine with eyeballing it this way. I'm not gonna nitpick it if it's not perfectly between 1.5 inches and 2 inches. So I'm gonna put this what I think looks good, and I'm gonna slide it over. Okay, so I'm sliding it over, all the way over, leaving the artwork on there until we have about 2 inches on the other side of the artwork. And then before I cut, I am going to make sure that I'm straight along my grid up there. Keep my hand back in place, the other one on the handle, cut down. Now that I cut that side, I can flip around and do the same exact thing on the other side. Cutting mats doesn't have to be difficult, and if you just take a little bit of time making sure it's lined up and seeing that it's centered, then you should be good to go. If you aren't very good at seeing centers, we can get someone to help you, or we can take a pencil and measure out how long it should be, or you could measure this and add on 2 inches and 2 inches, so 4 inches in length. However, this is how I mat my prints. In the end, you should have nice cut, straight, a nice straight image with a tiny white border, including your signature, and then you should have a nice big black mat around it with enough room for a label in the corner.